I can't answer for President-elect Trump. I know our message is getting to him. I've heard it from people that know him. I heard it from elected officials. He's hearing our message loud and clear.
That's Ontario Premier Doug Ford speaking about incoming U.S. President Donald Trump, who is continuing his assertions that Canada should become the 51st state. Ford has proposed an enhanced energy plan in order to stave off tariff threats from Trump. He'll also be taking a trip south of the border with fellow premiers to discuss these matters in Washington next month. Meanwhile, CBC News has learned the federal government is also in the process of finalizing a retaliatory tariff list against the United States. All right, to help us understand why Trump is focusing on Canada and Greenland, we're joined by Irvin Studin, editor-in-chief of Global Brief magazine and president of the Institute for 21st Century Questions, a strategy-driven think tank tackling geopolitical and social challenges facing Canada. Irvin joins me in studio. Thank you, Irvin, for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me, Angie.
So why should we be taking Donald Trump's comments so seriously? What is it about this?
I think his comments and his threats are deadly serious, and we'd be wise to begin to take them seriously as a serious country. They come from three places. First of all, Canada made a strategic mistake in finalizing the USMCA deal pre-pandemic. We interpret it far differently from Trump. We see it as a trade deal. He saw it as a strategic win, strategic vassalization of Canada. We became a vassal state after that. We didn't realize it. Secondly, Trump is looking at the world. We see a world potentially with peace deals in the making. He sees a world of annexation. He sees Russia-Ukraine, annexation. He sees the Middle East wars, annexation. And then he's saying, where's the North American annexation play? And who leads it? It's the United States looking for soft targets. And finally, we'd be wise to consider our changed borders. The Arctic border is melting objectively. We will not refreeze it. It opens us up to the entire world. Trump is working off a global map. We're working off a bilateral map. And so that global map means that the more serious player will take advantage of a vassal state.
And hence we're coming in when he talks about Greenland and Panama and whatnot, and the United States needing to be at the forefront of that.
Yeah, he's thinking as a major power with a very vast imagination. You have to give the man credit for having a vast imagination. He's still improvising. He's testing the waters. Our imagination is too conventional, too path-dependent, too bilateral. We'd be wise to consider that Canada is the second largest country in the world with major borders ourselves. We got the U.S. border, but we've got a European border to the east, we've got the Chinese-Asian border to the west, we've got the Russian border.
Right.
We're squeezed by major powers on all sides. We need to play at that level or we'll get crushed.
You've talked about how Trump, this is sort of Trump 2.0, very different from what we saw Trump in his first term in 2016. Talk to me about that shift and that change.
Well, Trump 1.0 was an experimental politician, a showman, a real estate tycoon, improvising in politics, testing the waters. Trump 2.0 is an end-of-life and second final term president if he makes it that far. He's not playing for transactions. He's not playing for bilateral trade. He's not even playing for the American public or law. He's playing for biblical stakes, for legacy. And he sees himself as amongst the great players in the world, perhaps as amongst the great American statesmen. What's his legacy? Well, Canada is a great legacy to have. It's the second largest country in the world. It would make America the largest country in the world with borders on all sides.
Right.
So it's no coincidence he's looking at it. He's testing the waters. He's mainstreaming the message. We'll be wise to push back.
So let's talk about that pushback.
Yeah.
We've heard sort of now, he's talking about the 25% tariffs. Canada's looking at saying, okay, well, we're going to come back on this as well. And we've heard inklings in terms of this, live list, if you will, of goods and services that could potentially, hurt the United States and sort of, become that tit for tat. Where is our positioning on this? Are we sort of going down the right trajectory here, or is there much more that needs to be done here? Considering now we are also flailing when it comes to the leadership with our government.
We're flailing on many fronts. Coming out of the pandemic, which happened, we had about 7 systems crises across the country. We're barely recovering. One of them was a crisis of great international weakness. Trump senses that weakness. We cannot be an easy country to deal with. We must get that out of our instinct. Our instinct is to vassalize even further. Let's make a deal. Let's make him like us. Let's show that we're useful. That plays into deeper vassalization, in the end, some degree of annexation. The worst thing we could do is sign a bad deal under pressure and then report it to an unsuspecting Canadian public as a victory. Trump will see that as total victory, total merger, total annexation. If he doesn't even threaten military force down the road, we need to show, first of all, that Canada does not negotiate under pressure. We do not accept a gun to our heads. We are an extremely difficult country. And so no deal must also be on the table. It's an option. Even if we suffer for a little bit, we'll be stronger and more respected at the back end. No deal means if we don't like what's being written, if we don't like the way it's being negotiated, and we don't like the partner with which we negotiated, no is also an answer.
We're going to be following it really closely, Irvin. Maybe have you come back in as sort of we're seeing not only following where things are going in terms of our leadership here, but who that individual is and how they're going to be handling what's happening south of the borders. Donald Trump, of course, just a week and a half away from being inaugurated as the next president of the United States. Appreciate the analysis here. Thank you so much for this.
Thanks for having me.
Irvin Studin, editor-in-chief of Global Brief magazine and president of the Institute for 21st Century Questions.